Hey!
Welcome to Progressive E. If you're wondering whether to buy the KO control on the RS motor, this is the video for you. Does it wheel stand? Does it jump? Is it quicker than a 15 kilowatt ASI tune with a Sur-on motor? So, Truett, what do we prefer? The original Superman ASI to the Sur-on market? Or do we prefer the KO controller and the RS motor, the new Hulk to the game?
Mate, it's an easy, hands down, Hulk, man. The KO setup is what we've been needing, and now it's perfect.
So if you jump on the website, the newest hex file that's been released is what we're running today. All the original throttle issues you may have seen on social media completely gone. This feels identical as far as an off feeling as the ASI bike, but just with better throttle modulation on the way up. It generally feels better on the throttle everywhere. What's your opinion on that, Truett?
Yeah, no, we got it to feel exactly like the ASI bike, and then we got it to feel that bit better. So now, as Jared was just saying, we've got that modulation there. It doesn't feel as on-offy. It does beautiful wheel stands, no issues. It's perfect, and you know, like you can now slightly tweak it if you want to tweak it. Like maybe you might want a bit more regen. I didn't want as much regen, so I told Jared to turn that down a bit, and it's just perfect. Like I love it. It's amazing, and I really want to get rid of this, what we call the Superman setup, which is just horrible. It's horrible compared to the KO.
That's pretty much it. It's an awesome piece of kit. KO have been working so hard on the development to get this where everybody wanted it, and they have worked their butts off to get it exactly where it is here today, and it's awesome. So,
nice work, KO. We appreciate it.
Good work. Big thanks to Ben, Ian and Chris. You guys have been awesome to deal with. So yeah, we'll run you through the tune parameters that we've made up. Bear in mind, it's with a 60-tooth sprocket. It's for 72-volt high power tune and for 1821 wheels. The sprocket size on this motor matters a lot, and our RPM map is basically based around the torque that we're getting with that sprocket. We would like to run more than 270 amps. We can't at this stage just because we're stuck with the BMS on the EBMX battery, but we've got another battery coming and we'll be pushing it to the 330, 350 amp mark. Yeah, so let's run you through our settings.
Let's do it.
All right, so controller parameters, all this here is set to default. Our max line current is set to 270 amps. We're limited by our BMS, so we'd like to really crack above 300, but we can't with our current battery situation. Max phase current is set to 750 amps. Speed coefficient, that's set to default. Threshold low, when you do the auto calibration, this brought us to 0.05 volts. We've added an additional 0.10 volts of deadband. Really recommend a deadband, probably 0.5 to 0.10 volts above what the auto calibration tells you to do. It just gives you a bit of room when it's bumpy, so definitely worth doing that. ACC sensitivity, which is our throttle. Actually, I'll take a step back there. Threshold high, this is obviously the top end of your throttle. This is left as the factory auto calibration. When we pull full throttle, we get 4.25 volts, so we've left that as it is. ACC sensitivity, this is our throttle ramp over time. We've played around with these numbers with different hex files as we've been testing. Basically, we found with the new hex 215 is a really nice sweet spot. Pretty crisp and definitely gives you the control that you're after. Back throttle is left at default. Weak RSP, we've lowered the field weakening to 4. The rest of this is all default. The PIDs, everything's default. Wouldn't mind having a play with this one day. I'll see how I go. Controller functions, we've set brake to invalid. We don't have brake sensors, so you want this turned off. PC13 must match the same as what you set brake to. So if you're invalid, you want to select none here. Parking we've set to disable. Follow we've set to EABS. You will notice that these two, reverse charging and follow, will change at the same time. This is your regen and your back torque settings. This will give you the super juicy, nice off crisp feeling that KO have now developed. So it's important to make sure this is turned on. Throttle, we're using line. I'm still a fan of sport. You don't get the control, but it just feels so grunty. It's such an awesome feeling to witness, I guess. So, but definitely recommend line. The rest of this is all essentially, well, all these here, this is all set to default. Your mid speed is for your eco button. I've got a young child, so he'll ride with me, so I've just kind of lowered this here. Low speed, we don't use. So with the EABS in mind, you just want to check over these settings here. So we've kind of come to a level where we feel like we can comfortably wheel stand with it. So we've got 60 amps for our max back current, and then our stop back current, which is, the stop back current is kind of like your regen that turns on straight away as soon as you let off the throttle. So it's the rolling regen feel. We set this to 25 amp. It's very similar to like a 2-stroke style regen. The original factory, well, I suppose default parameters was max back current set to 80. We've tuned this down to 60, and the stop back current was originally set to 40, and we've changed this to 25. Super happy with how this feels. It is more aggressive than something like an EBMX ASI tune with that off feeling, but it's such a nice positive off feeling. It just means you can have so much more grunt everywhere else now because you feel safe that your throttle is going to turn off super aggressively. Okay, motor parameters. Super juicy. This is where it's at. So AN, I'm fairly sure this is the field weakening frequency that we're altering. We've changed this from 16 to 8. And then along here is your RPM graph. This is one of the best things about the KO controller, just being able to modify this RPM map. It gives you control that you would have never had on any controller before, and you can just easily tweak it yourself. So a lot of this first 500 to 1500 RPM range will be related to your sprocket, also your battery voltage as well. So we've got a nice little ramp up here. Our parabolic curve essentially finishes at 2,500 RPM. A lot of people will continue it into the 4,000 RPM. Just from general riding and control, we found that when you're on a wheel stand or you're trying to do something technical, dropping these numbers here helps. They don't have to be a huge drop, and I still think they need to be close to 90 at 3,500. They just need to drop from there pretty dramatically. Would really appreciate any feedback for anyone who tries this. Let me know what you think. Just bear in mind that we are running a 60-tooth sprocket, so this first part of the RPM map is definitely gonna matter on your sprocket size especially. Yeah, so thanks for checking out the tune.